Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session where we shall be unmasking employers. I am so excited about this topic today and looking forward to what our speaker has in store for us. We really appreciate you joining us here today. My name is Grace Nzula. I am a trainer and HR consultant with Atara Solutions, a training and HR consulting firm, and a manager at Vanessa Training Institute, a carpentry school. Get It Right with Atara Solutions is a platform where we demystify issues to do with entrepreneurship and employment. We are in partnership with Zalego Academy, a software development and capacity building academy, and NG Support Services, a brand management and communications company. This is our eighth webinar. The first one, we looked at the legal requirements of starting a business. We looked at brand management and communication. The second one, we sought to understand or to answer the question, how do I know which business to start? The third time, we had Mr. Panessa, who shared with us his journey in running a business for over 40 years. The fourth one, we defined what customers want. The fifth one, we discussed bookkeeping and what the taxman wants. On our sixth webinar, we discussed business strategies, visualize it, win it. Last week, we had a very eye-opening discussion on the management of intellectual property. If you missed any of our webinars, please visit Atara Solutions YouTube channel, that is Atara Solutions YouTube channel, and while at it, kindly subscribe. Next week, we shall be discussing another very exciting topic, the legal obligations for any employer. Now, let me share some facts and points to note. And I'm sure those who have been with us for a while have heard this. 20% of businesses fail in the first year, 30% in the second year, 50% in the fifth year, 70% in the 10th year. This is the narrative that Get It Right with Atara Solutions is trying to change. Now, I am very pleased and honored to introduce our speaker today, Madam Jane Mutisya. She has over 10 years of diverse human resource management experience that spans from startups to established organizations. Jane is so passionate about aligning the HR needs in a company and that of the employees. She is a colleague, yes, we are colleagues, who is very knowledgeable and passionate about empowerment. We invite you, our audience, to ask any question that you may have, and we shall try to answer as many as possible. Jane Mutisya, please define for us. You know, in Kiswahili we say, tuambie kinagaubaga. What do employers want in their employees?
Thank you very much, Grace, for the warm welcome and the wonderful introduction. And a warm welcome to our participants for today. As you heard, my name is Jane Mutisya. And nitaeleza kinangaubanga, as Grace has said. So what do employers want from us? And I'm going to look at from the point they put the advertisement to the point now they are saying, you are not our employee. Are we happy we had you, or are you a field recruitment? Are you a wheelbarrow, or are you a tractor? What do I mean by a wheelbarrow? Every time when you have a wheelbarrow and you put luggage and you push it, the wheelbarrow will be wherever you leave it. It will not move. Doesn't matter what it's carrying. It won't move with all the wheels and everything. It will not move until you come and push it again. So are you that employee that has to be pushed? Or are you the tractor that actually pulls and drives everything else? So employers want to have that in mind. Are we hiring a tractor or a wheelbarrow? And of course, I'm sure nobody wants to be the wheelbarrow. So in our session today, we are going to look at what do employers look at from the point of the time that they are drafting the advert to the point that they're actually hiring you. So we are going to be unmasking the employer. And in that case, I'm going to now show share my screen with you, so that those who follow things that are visual can also be able to follow. Share screen. In the recruitment cycle, is it sharing?
Um,
So what exactly do employers want? And we are saying I'm starting first of all from the side of the job seeker. And in job seeking, you start with long listing. So they have done the advert and you're shortlisted, you're long listed. So 100 of you apply for this particular job.
mm-hmm.
So 1,000 of you apply for this particular job, and then you go through a process as employers to actually have just very few that we feel we want to do. But every time you put an advert up there, why am I not seeing myself? So every time you put an advert out there, 1,000 people apply for that particular job. Now, the work of the employer and the recruiters is actually to go through those 1,000 applications, those 300 applications. And those in HR will tell you that when I say 1,000 applications, it's actually true. We actually receive 1,000 applications. And now we are ranking out because of the softwares that I bought shortlist. They're called the applicant tracking systems, because ideally the HR work could be you sit and you have to go through all those applications, and it can even take days by the time you're done with each and every application that has been sent. So from that job area that has been crafted, the job description, people actually sit and go like, this person will be doing this particular work, this and this and this and this and this. The deliverables will be ABCD. For them to perform this job, we want them to have the following qualifications, including the personal attributes. So they'll have the formal qualifications, they'll have the years of experience, and they'll have attributes that they think you must have if you have performed well in this particular role. So after all that, when they send an advert, we will have 1,000 applications. But from that 1,000 applications, they might only see maybe 7 people, or if sometimes even maybe 5, sometimes even 3, you know? So we'll have someone who will actually go in and come with like 15 CVs that have to go through another 3 people, a panel of other 3 people, to shortlist further to a list of around 5. So every time you're called for an interview, whether you make it or you don't make it, pat yourself, because you have made it to the last 5 from a pool of 1,000, 500, 300. We receive very, 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 very high numbers of applications. So the first thing is to understand, how is this long listing done? And how can I make sure that actually I'm going to make the top 5? How do I maximize my chances of getting to the top 5? So we are going to look at the long listing. After that, they call you for the interview. When you go for the interview, we have now maybe the 7 of you, and you're only looking for 1 person. So again, why do we choose between Grace and Jane? At what point do we say Jane has a master's in this, Grace has a master's in this, they both have 10 years experience? How do we choose between Jane and Grace? What are we looking for? So again, we're gonna go through that. And then again, we have the background checks. When you're doing your background check, again, what exactly are the employers looking for? And this week, we have seen so many cases of people being, we saw the case of Pauline Joroge, who was denied the board job because of whatever that was in her social media. So background checks, going beyond the traditional things that we do. Now we have another case. Now we are going online to check for that. Then at negotiation level, the salary question. What exactly? Why are we asking that question? Why do the employers ask that particular question? Does it hurt you? Depending on how you answer that particular question. And then onboarding and now leaving as an employee. Why do people get fired? Why do we not confirm you? So you've gotten the job, you are the best, we are excited. We send this good message about it to the rest of them. Welcome us to join Jenny Mutisya with ABCD season 10 years. But then probation comes and we have to let you go. What happened? Why didn't you live to it? So that's what you're going to be looking there this particular evening. And I want us to now go straight to the long listing stage. And we're asking, what are they doing? And they're saying they long list and shortlist from the job description. So whatever you put in your CV must talk to, I want us to look at a shortlisting grid. So once you say that application, what happens? The people at the back office, if they're not using a software, and even if they're using a software, it will be using the same rationale as what I'm about to share. I hope you're able to see my screen. Keeps removing me from the screen. So I hope you're able to see the screen. I hope the print is not too fine. So you can see that. So this particular case was a true case of a time that we're looking for an engineer. I've used one name for the purpose of synonymity, or anonymity rather. So you'll see in this particular long list, we have a table here. We are saying candidate name, education, that is what was in the degree, relevant experience, and we're asking for 3 years relevant experience work with communities, 4 marks. This one is also 4 marks. At least 3 years wash experience, wash is water and sanitation, in arid and semi-arid areas, 4 points. Experience dollar-funded organization, 4 points. If you can speak Turkana, we're not giving marks, but that was an added advantage. Then the total score, and then we had remarks. So at any one time when they're shortlisting, they will have this. So when you're applying for your job, you can actually do this for yourself and see, am I bringing this aspect that the recruiter is looking for out in my application? So if you look at someone like Cephas, him, he got 0, 0, 0. He had experience donor, but it was not relevant. So and actually that the person was a nurse. So we said no. Are you following? So sometimes you are fully not qualified for the job. Maybe because you don't have a job, you feel like you should be applying for anything. You really become tiring. So like this particular person got a 0 in everything else apart from speaking the Turkana language. And we didn't shortlist them. Then we have Kiplagat, who had a degree in engineering, did not have work experience in community, so we gave him 1 score. Had experience with WASH, not 3 years, maybe 1.5, so he got 2. And had worked with donor fund organizations, maybe not many donors or the donor that we're looking for, so he got 2. But we shortlisted, we said yes, no. If we don't get other people, we might look at him. Yes, no. What does this tell us? That even when you do not have 100% of what the employers are looking for, please submit that application. If you meet at least 80% of what we are looking for, what the recruiter is looking for, submit that application. That's why you're seeing a yes, no, because you don't know the kind of people that you're going to get for this particular role. And sometimes this person may not have the exact kind of experience and all that, but there's something about him that the employer might actually like. Then Wesley had everything, so we are saying a yes. You see the other one here has 0 everything. He's an environmentalist. Then I want you to see another one here who we said yes to, but does not have everything. So if you look at this person, he gets a 4 here, a 3 here, rather a 3, meaning he had a diploma, not a degree, then a 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, but you still said a yes. So my point is, even when you see an advert, do not remove yourself from the shortlist if you feel you meet 80% of the goals. So this is a practical case of how we actually shortlist. If you don't qualify, don't put. We have someone from applied biology really did not meet. We had a lawyer applying for this role, scoring 0, 0, you know the categories, therefore he did not meet. Another one here who is not attaching a resume. We have David here who scored 4 for degree, but did not attach his resume. Again, we keep seeing this every time. And what does it say? Maybe it's a genuine mistake, or maybe you're not keen to details.
Yeah.
So you have to be very thorough in analyzing the job advert so that you understand what exactly is the employer looking for. And I keep saying the job description is your Mwakenya. What we want from you is actually out there. It is not a secret. We want someone with this, with this, with this. But the most important to note is if you meet 80% of the role, you stand a chance. Just make sure in your CV, you highlight that relate with what you're looking for. So don't put things that are not relevant, like your age, your marital status, tribe, I don't know, all those things, nursery school, primary school. As you have seen in the courses, we do not have a place for where you went to high school and what you scored in primary school. So showcase things that will actually make you help you with whatever now how I've shown you that behind the desk, what happens the time we are getting to the list of the 5 people. So that's for how we do it at the point of now selecting. There are times that you'll be applying for that job using what we call the ATS. Every time they tell you apply online. So when they tell you apply online, that's what we're calling the applicant tracking system. And I'm encouraging you guys to go and read about it. In the applicant tracking system, you'll understand what kind of formats will the system reject. So you could be the best candidate, but you attach a CV and the system actually rejects that particular system. So when you're using the applicant tracking system, which is a recruitment software, and what it does, it actually sorts, scans, and ranks the job applications. So in all those applications, you pick the best 10 and put them in tier 1. Then the next level of 10, tier 2, like that. If you try to give you 15 CVs, it will still do the first tier of 5, the best 5 CVs, the second best 5 CVs, like that. So if your CV doesn't fall in those 5, in that tier 1, tier 2, it will never meet a human being. And that means, again, you lose an opportunity. So there are things that you can actually go online and read about the ATS, and it will help you understand, because almost all the companies are going to online application systems. So if you do not understand applying for jobs online, then your CV will never meet a human being, even when you have 80% or 90%, or even sometimes 100% of the things that they're looking for. So again, in using the ATS and in making your CV for that particular function, always make that your CV actually has the keywords, the key things that you know the system is able to scan and be able to see that. So maximize your chance of your CV meeting a human being by understanding the ATS. Make sure your CV format is ATS friendly. Most of the time it has to be Word or PDF. Optimize key skills that relate to the job in your CV. If you do not relate to that particular job, you're going to be thrown out. And this is an example of how that system works. So you'll keep saying they're not even sending a regret, or maybe the system will actually give you a regret automatically. So you need to understand from the back office what exactly happens. So like in this particular case, the job required someone that has an engineer that has a manufacturing background, field service, troubleshooting, engineering. Now these are reports from the ATS, what I'm calling the ATS. And you'll see the system is speaking. Manufacturing, this person is scoring 5 because it has been mentioned that 6 times from in the CV. There are times that they'll get actually just 1 because there's nothing that is happening. See like here. So this is the resume, this is the job description. So so we have let me, I hope you can see, the color is not good. So we have like here it's an X. So this person has to be an engineer. In their resume, that engineering is not coming out. In the job description, we have that 3 times. Manufacturing, in her resume, it's not appearing. This is an X. In the job description, it is a 5. So if you're doing your CV, if this JD is asking for CAD, the person must be able to use the CAD software. It's appearing once in her CV, it's appearing twice in the job description. So at least they have a chance to be shortlisted. Engineering design, it does not appear in his resume. It's appearing in the job description. I hope you are following that if you have to actually go past this ATS system, you have to study the job description and understand what exactly are they looking for and see how to highlight so the system is able to pick. So the system has one limitation. It is not able to actually do a fit like a human being would do. So you have to be able to know how to be the system if you feel you're qualified for the job.
Yes.
So after that, we go to the interview stage. And in the interview stage, what exactly are they looking for? They want to validate your technical skills because we shortlisted you. We see you said you had a degree, you had ABCD, you can able to use CAD, you are able to do performance management, you are in HR, if you're in accounting, you said you're able to balance books and all that. So we want to actually come and validate those technical skills because maybe you just wrote some things and you're not able to do that. We want to see your attitude and aptitude. We want to validate your experience as indicated in your CV. We also want to check if you're a risky hire. So attitude and aptitude, and we keep saying that the most at this particular point you have been called for the interview. So the guys that have come for the interview, all of you are engineers, all of you are HR specialist 5 years experience because you have seen how we shortlist. So through that shortlisting, the guys that are coming for the interview, actually all of them have the minimum qualifications required for that role. We are just validating, meaning at that particular point, that is not a differentiator. All of you are coming with the same background. You're both HRs from international organization. You have worked maybe for the minimum that we require, the 5 years. So what exactly are we looking at? And that's why we are saying at this point, technical qualifications don't matter that much. It's about attitude and aptitude, skills that make the workplace interesting. So you could be the best HR person, you could be the best engineer, you could be the best accountant, you could be the best whatever that you are. But if you don't have the right attitude, if you don't have the right aptitude, we can't teach you that. And therefore, we are going to say, she is very good technically. She sounds very solid, but she looks like she has a temper. But he looks like he doesn't, he's a lone ranger. He can't work in a team. So those are some of the things that we're going to say, he is good, but I don't see myself working with him. So always know that at that particular point of coming for the interview, it is not the time to brag about your PhD. You can brag about it, that's okay. About your master's, it's okay, you can brag about it, but it is not the differentiator. Very, very important to know that. And even in your job, after you get that particular job, always know you already have the minimum technical capacity to perform in that particular job. It is the soft skills, the emotional intelligence that is required now for you to actually be able to work with everyone, to solve issues and all that. So we talk again about checking if you're a risky hire. What do you mean with checking? Okay, I see here we have, before you go to a risky hire, what they want in an interview stage, because the slide is there. Let me just take you. And they're saying they want to know, are you a team player? Are you a problem solver? Are you a troublemaker? Are you flexible? Are you proactive? Are you ambitious? What are your successes? What are your weaknesses? And in this particular stage, how you tell your stories should actually showcase these skills. So you must know how to tell your stories in a way that actually brings out the skills that you're looking for, even before we ask you. And how do you do this? You do this through a method I'm going to just mention right here, and you can go do your own reading. It's called the STAR interview technique. You give the people background of what happened, you give them what you did, and you now say, using my collaboration skills, using my problem solving skills, out of my own initiative, I led the team, you know, things like that, that bring out the skills that we want to see in people, that we want to see you're flexible, you're a problem solver, all these things that we're talking about. We'll ask you about your weakness, because we want to see, are you self-aware? And what are you doing about this particular weakness? So these are things that we have to ask you, and you have to prepare, because again, if you think on your feet in the interview, you're going to fail. I would have shown you an interview score sheet, but I won't, because I don't think it's in this particular slide. But basically, it looks the same thing. So we are going to have the different questions, and people have been, and the panel is actually scoring against that score sheet. So they ask you something. So we'll have sections, different section interview score sheet. One section is just the interest. Why are you interested in this particular job? Is it because you don't have another job, or for sure you have a passion for what you're calling you to do? We are going to have a section for technical questions, which is validating now what I'm calling the technical skills. Part of this role includes you doing financial statements. Tell us about your experience preparing financial statements. Are you able to just explain that in examples and showing how you have done this and how you're qualified to do that particular role? So you have different questions to validate your technical capacity. From there, we go to now what I call the soft skills, which I'm saying is very key, which is actually what you're testing. But even from how you're responding, how you're letting the panelists, people are looking at those other extras during that particular interview. So as you answer, and always remember, by the time we are hiring you at this particular point, and remember, I'm saying you are among the top most now. So you need to actually feel very happy whether you get it or you don't get it. You have gone through one. And some of the secrets that I'm talking about in terms of when you go for the interview, make this smaller. When you go for the interview, you should know that employers are looking for proven track record. Give positive examples of your work as much as possible. And we are saying interviews are like sales process or a first date. It's about your confidence, your likability, your enthusiasm. So if they don't like you, trust me, they won't hire you. So hiring decisions are actually based on likability than skills, because like I said, all of you have the minimum skills required for the job. We are validating fine. So you have the skills, you could be the most qualified, but if you're not likable by the panel, So as you do everything, of course, don't go bootlicking, but go in your best behavior if that's not obvious. And we are saying skills can be learned, but attitude cannot be learned. So if you pick bad attitude, we're asking you, why are you leaving your current job? And you go talking so bad about your current organization, talking bad about your boss, or just whatever that you're going to that shows that maybe you're the problem, then you're going to have a problem with you. Hiring managers want someone to come and make their work easy. So good hire makes them heroes, and the vice versa is also true. So just know they're looking for someone who's able to have all those good skills that I've said about. And nobody wants clueless people. Sometimes you come for the interview, we ask you very good basic questions like even, what do you know about us? It has been said from time Kintabo that you have to research before you go for an interview. Research about the company, research about the role, understand the role. So you come and I ask you, what is your understanding of this particular role? And you have no clue. What am I going to think? You can plan. You can't plan for your work. You don't know how to prepare for things. It means therefore I cannot give you a heavy task to do, because then I have to follow you if you could not prepare for an interview. And then be professional, but don't overdo it. Be yourself, but don't overdo it. And then of course you have to know that soft skills are as important as the technical skills. They're actually more important than the technical skills. I had talked about risky hire. When we scale risky hires, we get that through the background checks, and also through some questions during the what is it called, during the interview. So we're asking you things like, why are you leaving your current job? Why are you not working? Things like that. So depending on the answers that you're giving, we are able to actually see why you're not doing this ABCD. We ask you things in the CV that you're not able to answer, and they're already in your CV, and people are saying, this is ABCD. Then again, we go back and do a different check on you and realize that this particular person cannot do ABCD, and it's not because we can't be told, but it's about, are you coming to put our company to jeopardy? And every employer, every recruiter has to do that. And when you do background checks, it's part of that risky hire assessment. And we are seeing, why are people rejected? So you have gaps in your CV. Maybe you are fired and you are not able to explain that. Or you explain and you give a white lie. Or you explain and you give a good lie, but then later you are caught. So you have to know how to answer those particular questions before you go for that particular interview. Or maybe you have had very many short-term assignments. Sometimes it's not because of your fault. Maybe you are just not very lucky to get a long-term job. But people might be wondering, is this person serious with their job? So you have again to understand, if they have shortlisted you, you can bring it out if they ask you. You better have a reason, knowing that you have maybe had jobs for 6 months, 8 months, with gaps in between. You're going to be asked, why are you how come you're always quitting jobs? Are you a job hopper? Are we going to spend resources to engage you, train you for the role, only for you to leave 6 months down the line? So that's something that you're going to check again. Then are you ever qualified? Are we going to give you this particular role? Then you come, and within 1 month, you're feeling like, you know what? This is internship for me. I can't do this. I'm more growing. I'm more challenged. So that's the other thing. So when you apply for jobs that you are very, very, very overqualified, it becomes a problem again. And then are you underqualified, completely underqualified? So there are times people might like you, and then you come over and you're wondering, maybe this person was called a manager in one organization or an officer in a different organization, but the kind of skills that we're looking for are actually for the kind of things that they were doing, they are not yet there. They are not there at the level that they can actually be hired for a management role or for whichever role that you're applying for. So these are some of the things that you're going to check. And after that, we do the background checks. And I'm saying the background checks, referrals are the most powerful means to getting a new job. Yeah. So can your former boss actually vouch for you? Can your former line manager say that this person is good? Hire them. So sometimes when you're leaving jobs, we don't think that far. We don't think that far that 10 years from now, they're going to contact my current employer when I was an assistant. So you have to always know that it's not about your job. This is not just about a job, it's a career. From your first engagement, you're actually building relationships, you're building networks, and these are people who would commend you or say, no, hire that one at your own risk. So every job contributes towards your career. And you should aim to build bridges and not walls. So when you do reference check, we don't just go to the guys that you're listing on your CV, because most of us know that those would be your friends. We'll actually sometimes call the places that you work, and we'll be asking questions like, how long was Jenny in XYZ Limited? That time you have said you worked there for 5 years, but you only worked for 2 months and you quit. In what capacity? What were her duties and responsibilities? Would you describe her as a team player? You know, we can use any other software here to ask the things that we want to ask about you. Why did she leave and why? Would you hire Jane again given a chance? So if your boss can't say yes to this, if your boss would say you're not a team player, you could not collaborate and all that, if your boss would say you left because you were thief and you had to be fired and all that, again, it affects. It doesn't matter how qualified you are. It doesn't matter how, you know, emotional intelligent that your soft skills are so good. But if you get a bad reference check, even though you had passed all the handles, you had been longlisted, shortlisted, came for the interview, you missed all of us, you're going to fail at your background check. So again, the background check is very, 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 very key. And in every job that you have, just know that that particular organization will one day be used for your reference check. The relations that you form there, how you solve your conflict, how you exit, will actually follow you for a very long time in your job searches. We continue. So it's something I want to say here. So you have been interviewed. Do we really want you to keep following up, asking us if I was interviewed last week? What is the feedback? My personal opinion, I know Google tells you otherwise. Google tells you call, write emails, call, I don't know how long, you know. I say, no, don't follow. We don't want to be nagged. If you want, you will still come back to you. It's a bad practice that most people do not respond to do not send feedback. But if they don't send the feedback, unless they do that they will call and they don't call, then if you have to follow, please just do it once. But please don't keep calling and calling and calling. And the other thing is, you have done just their job application. You have not even been called for the interview, but you want to follow and ask, did you receive my application? Always remember, we are dealing with over 1,300 applications, and we cannot receive calls from everybody, you know. So if you sent and you didn't get a failure message, trust me, your message was received. If you came for the interview, they say they'll get back to you, and they have not get back to you. My private opinion, my advice is move on. Keep applying for other jobs. You can ask for feedback on how you performed, but don't be a nag, you know. Just do one email, just one call if you have to call, and that is it. If they say they'll call you back, just let it be, because maybe they are too busy with whatever that they are doing, and they might actually feel now they can actually become irritated. So hooray, you have gotten this job already now. So you have reported its induction, you're feeling very nice, you have told all your friends that have gotten this particular job. So what do the employers want now that you have already gotten the job? And we are saying part of the things that they want to see technical competency, shine on your deliverables, and stay up to date in your industry. Don't be the person that things are happening. We are depending on you to advise us, and you do have no clue that things have moved in your industry. Or maybe you come in, you know very well you have a weakness in this particular aspect of your job description, but you're not working to making it actually work for you. So once you get this particular job, do whatever that has to be, go bullet by bullet in your job description and get to understand which areas of my JD here am I vulnerable to. Which section of my JD am I not able to perform without help? And seek that help when it's still very in advance. So don't wait for us to come to the time of now evaluation. We are saying you have not done ABCD, you're not able to do the budget report, you're not able to do the annual report, you have not done ABCD, the recruitment failed. So always go to the job description, word for word, bullet by bullet, and see where are my weak areas. Where in this particular job description do I need help? And of course, if you are new again, make sure that you actually understand how to proceed with each and every aspect of your KPI. Then work ethics is what they also need from you. Be at work on time. Do what you're hired to do. Meet your targets and deadlines and work to be the best of your ability. What more would an employer ask for? So work ethic is something that is very key, because you do not want someone being micromanaged. You do not want people keeping following you. You are always the one who is always not on time. You do not prepare for meetings. You do not send anything on time. Your deliverables do not meet the quality and all that. So again, work ethics, very, very, very important on your own. Communication skills. This is very key. I cannot emphasize enough on how important the communication skills are. Are you able to communicate clearly and effectively in many medium? Are you able to do very proper emails, both verbally? Are you able to actually even talk on the phone properly? All those things, including your body language. So this is very important for success, because if you cannot communicate, even your own success cannot be communicated. So this is very key, and you must know where you need to grow. All of us have development needs, areas that we need to grow, and it is very important that if that is part of them, it's a key one for success. Then ability to work well with coworkers. You cannot be a lone ranger. You cannot keep saying I've done my bit, so just know you cannot do it alone. You have to work well, you have to collaborate, you have to leverage, you have to know how to support others, and others will also support you. Then problem solving, you must be a problem solver. You cannot be always going to your boss with problems. Learn to be going with solutions. People want that. Someone who says, we have ABCD, can we do this? I was thinking this particular aspect, we could actually either do this or this or this or this, but after analyzing, I am recommending we go with A, So don't always go to your boss with problems. Go with a problem and a suggested solution. And then flexibility and adaptability. You can't keep saying, when I joined, you told me this. When I joined, you told me this. It will keep changing. And we are looking for people who are going to move with the tide, fitting without becoming a headache for the management. Who is going to talk to Jane? Jane is so difficult. She's not going to be flexible with this, So deliberately be the person with the flexible adaptability as a skill, Then loyalty. If it's about your employer's time, please just give them what they're supposed to do, and don't be working for someone and at the same time you're hurting them. So you're working for this particular company, but maybe for whatever reason, you are still doing bad things that actually can hurt that particular employer. If you do something like that, you'll actually be fired. The rest can be warnings and all that, but lack of loyalty, you can actually be fired. Then value addition, always add value. Don't be the person that is just there, just earning the salary and not adding anything, and they don't know how to fire you because the law and all that. So deliberately always ask yourself, am I adding value? Then we have office etiquette and respect for people and processes. Sometimes, and especially with the millennials and all that, people keep complaining about the loud music that we play in the office. People complaining about the dressing. People keep complaining that this guy is always going out for, to answer the phone, to do ABCD, WhatsApp, and all that. So, some of these things that you do in the office, and when you're misbehaving, all those things that you do, people remember them. People remember them even if they may not tell you, but they are watching and they're wondering, this particular one, no. Or you're the one taking the phone in an open plan and you're speaking so loudly until everybody knows all your stories, Just be respectful and have some etiquette. Then avoiding silly mistakes. So you've been given this report to work on, but it has so many errors, some that you could have already picked on your own. Why? Because you just didn't review your work, So they say nobody is perfect, but that is not an excuse for you not to double check your emails, reports, and documents. Only an intern gets away with this. Nobody wants to give you a job and then they come again and sit and do the same job that they had given you to do. So if you do a job, if you do a report, if you're doing anything that you are doing, it doesn't matter what it is, before you send it to your boss, please sit down, review that with, with the detective eye. Just see what is this the grammar, is this the BCD? At least for grammar issues, actually go to Grammarly and have that checked. And then that's it for presentation today.
Wow. That is excellent, Jane. Thank you very much. I think if you're an employer, you've gotten how to carry out interviews, what to look for in employees. If you're an employee, I'm sure you've gotten enough tips. Now, Jane, our viewers have been asking a few questions. They've been streaming in since we started. And we have Lisa Molo who is asking, is the software the software for shortlisting, is it source free or sorry, is it source free or commercial?
It's actually commercial. People sell, People sell. You have to buy and install like any other software. Like there we have the SAPs in the office, the leave management softwares. So you have to buy, especially if you do a lot of recruitments, because it could be a lot of work. And then the other good thing about the ATS, you cannot be sued for discrimination. Because the system left Jane out. I cannot come saying that you're hating on me because of my name. It's the system that left me out. You can always say we interviewed the guys that made it to our last shortlist from the machine. Yeah.
Okay. So Julius is asking, when the job requires degree or certificate, but you have a master's degree, does it have an impact?
It depends. It depends. Like I said, there are times that we feel like you could be overqualified for the job. And I'll give an example, a practical example. Just last week, we were looking for an office assistant. I know this is sad. So the applications we got, actually, we got 2 people that have a master's. So this office assistant does the usual work. So sitting at the reception and answering calls, supporting teams with work, and even actually cleaning the office at times. But we had people with masters actually applying for that particular job, maybe because they are not jobs. But the thing that I was asking, I didn't want to give that particular person a chance, but I'm thinking, are they going to be comfortable doing this job, and for how long? So sometimes, like I said, do not remove yourself from that particular shortlist because you feel you're overqualified, unless if you're very, very, like if you're already a manager, don't apply for an assistant role. But if you feel you're overqualified just purely from the point of education, please go ahead, apply. Sometimes I've seen people, I don't know if this is ethical or not ethical, but I've seen people leaving some things out. Like if they're looking for a bachelor's and you have a PhD, you leave the PhD out for another day because this particular job is not looking for that PhD, so that you do not remove yourself from the system, from the shortlist.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one is asking, this method may feel like the person without an attached resume to attach it. This system is very robotic.
Unfortunately, that is the era we are living in. We cannot ignore technology anymore. We are living in the tech era, and we are going to be seeing more and more employers going to use the ATS system. So it is robotic, and therefore you better know how to work with the robot. You better know how to be that robot. If you feel you qualify, please always look at that job description, look at that your CV, and see if that robot has to become baking once. If they're saying they're looking for someone with FMCG experience, you better have FMCG in your, if you have done that. Sometimes you work for what they are looking for, but you're not putting it in their language.
Yes.
You know, sometimes maybe you're in HR and they're saying they want someone who does talent acquisition, which is almost like recruitment. So in your CV, you're talking about recruitment, but the JD is saying talent acquisition. So stop using recruitment, use talent acquisition. You know, you're trying to relate as much as you can because, again, like you said, you're dealing with a robot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Josephat Mwango is asking, I have done virtual interviews for 2 different companies till the end without eventual feedback, only to follow up, and one said their budget for an extra personnel was not approved. And I was asked to wait in the second interview. It's been almost 2 months now. Why would they not give a feedback in such situations?
So like I said, again, it's sad that most of us, some people, or most people in HR actually don't give feedback. It's just unfortunate. But like I said, if you don't give feedback, please move on. Don't beat yourself that they did not come back. Maybe I failed. There are so many things that happen at the back office, in the recruitment office. Like now you're saying, you're hearing they don't have a budget. So maybe it was approved. They went on to hire, and then the budget till now has not been approved. Maybe they'll never hire they'll never hire for that particular position ever. Or maybe next year they'll get the budget and they might call you. So we can never control the behaviors of other people. If I'm the HR and I'm not sending feedback, as a job seeker, you cannot control my behavior. So I think just take it from the point of they are not responding. You did your best, and at least they have told you they didn't have a budget. So move on.
Yeah. And then Stella and Marilyn are asking the same. On reference checks, what if you just happen to have a malicious line manager on your most current employer, but then the rest of the organization give a good recommendation? What would the recruiter go for?
So that again depends with individual to individual. Personally, for me, I know that you can actually have a manager that you have very bad blood with them, and it doesn't mean that you are the bad one. So if you do a reference check from 3 people and we get 2 that are actually very good, and 1 that says something nasty about you, we actually go further and do another reference check, because we actually, but not all HR will understand that. But I hope with the HR in the team that you also understand that sometimes you can actually have someone who was a person against someone else, and it doesn't mean that this person will never be employed because they never coped to the chain. So if as a line manager, I give bad feedback and the other two have given good feedback, please go ahead and validate, get to understand from someone else that worked with this particular person, even in that organization. If this person is a line manager, you can even call the HR and get to understand how was so-and-so in the organization, how was ABCD, and then get to that. But it's very important also to make sure that your reference checks actually are saying good things about you. I have seen it practically again, where people actually come, they did a wow, and you do the reference check, and people give very bad. So they say very good things, and then they just say one. So and so was very good with ABCD. And one time we took a risk and hired that particular person. So the reference was saying they are good at it, but they have very poor interpersonal skills. And we took the risk because the person was a referral. And trust you me, all of us were sad because anyway she fought all of us.
Okay.
Yeah. So
is asking.
We have gone through that with Sophia. So I keep saying, just purpose to work. Most people don't hate you because of your technical skills. Most people actually give bad reference on your soft skills. How you relate, how you solve problems. You have an issue in the office, you want to sort of like you'll never talk to this person again. You have to remember that you always work with these people. And actually, like I said before, it is not about a job, it's a career that you're actually developing. So always have that in mind. Yeah.
Okay. Anwa Monje is asking, but don't you think it's unprofessional for the employer to take an employee through a series of interviews and suddenly become too busy to give the candidate feedback?
Like I said, it is bad manners. It is extremely bad manners. And for the HR, if you're HR and you're attending this particular webinar, please always give job seekers feedback. Even if they're the worst in the interview, give them feedback and make it balanced. So for the person asking that question, I am with you. It is extremely bad manners that some people don't give other people. And we always promise in interviews. People always say, we'll get back to you in 2 weeks. So we wait for 2 weeks and we don't hear from you. But like I said, you can't control other people's behavior. So if this particular person is not able to respond to you, then I'm saying that is bad manners, but you can't control them. So don't feel bad.
Yeah.
If you have to follow, just follow up once, but don't be a nag.
Yeah. Stella is also asking, another question, please. What do you do when some of the benefits on the contract are not honored after completion of probation?
You have to weigh your options again, because then that one is that your employer in that case is not sincere. You are dealing with someone who is not sincere, and sometimes, because I also deal with, I know one of that. We have one client like that, corporate client who, at the point of hire, they tell you after probation will give you a pay rise, but they are promising at that particular moment, but it may not be feasible in the budget. And sometimes whoever promised you that may not be the decision maker. Just like the review that the person has given an example. So sometimes so many things changes. So I think just go to approach whoever that is told you ABCD, tell them now my probation has passed, I've done extremely well. Can we discuss about the benefits? But whichever way you approach that particular whatever, go for a win-win. Don't go in a way that now because they're not giving you this particular benefit, now you start sucking, you stop performing, and things just go south. At the end of the day, you're the one who's been on the lose. So if you're still an employee, just manage that in a way that's actually not detrimental for yourself. You can just look for another job.
Okay.
If that's what you feel like. But if you choose, don't go like you're fighting. Don't go with aggression.
Okay. Kennedy Wakoli is asking, what is the impact of a cover letter in recruitment and how best should you document as an employee?
A cover letter, some people look at the cover letter before they open your CV, because your cover letter actually gives a history about, like, I've worked for ABCD, I have 10 years experience. So some people actually go straight to the cover letter even before they come to your CV. So it is very important to do a good cover letter, and don't have a generic cover letter. Understand the job description, understand what they're looking for, understand how you fit in that role, and now just do a composition, talking about how you fit. Like, would write something about your dog, It is not something you'll find somewhere in Google because it is your dog, So have an authentic story about yourself and how you feel you fit in that particular role. As you do that story, remember what I shown earlier about how they shortlist. So in your story, have your education, have the experience, have the personal attributes. If they're looking for a manager, say I've been able to manage ABCD. If they're looking for whatever they're looking for in your own story, see how you'll get to that particular story. Otherwise, if you keep getting things that are generic, the cover letter doesn't say much then for you.
Yeah. I like the use of the word authentic, because that is something that a lot of people don't know how to do it, or how to be authentic. Anyway, Coach Richard is asking Coach Jane, how can we increase our likability?
I guess it starts from a self-assessment. And then you can also even go further and do a 360 assessment. Ask your friends if they are sincere with you. They'll tell you the things they feel you should change about yourself. Sometimes we come for interviews and we are too tight. You are too tight, or you come with a script. And therefore we lose the chance to actually get to meet Richard in person, because you came with us, we ask who you are, then you go, you read for us a script, and in the script, because you are fearing might miss some lines, you can't even smile, you can't even, we don't have a chance to connect with you. So you can get feedback on the things that actually can affect how you feel and all that, including knowing how you look your best. There are some hairstyles that do not fit you. There are others that actually really fit you well. There are some colors that do not fit you. There are others that you wear and people are like, so we have the physical bit of it. Then we have the others that actually know about you. Are you smiling, don't have a smile, but are you relating? Like when you have a little relationship with someone. So that is part of it. Sometimes you go for and people are too serious because of the tension. Just know if you have that tension, it actually works against you. Also, again, the examples that you give, in your examples, give examples that talk about the skills that I've said, show that you're a problem solver, so that you have interpersonal skills, so that you know how to work with people, show that, so be someone who is able to, people be like, I want this person in my team. But if you come for the interview and the first thing that you're telling us that they are working wherever you are, it could be true, but you don't tell us about that, because you are saying maybe this person is someone that you can actually not give it that's outside their job description. That is how we are going to interpret it, So
we call it TMI.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So Steve, because it's 8:49, job hopper. Steve Umeme is asking, job hopper, what is the threshold for a candidate to be branded a job hopper?
So again, it depends with your school of thought. So for me, my background is the NGOs, and I understand sometimes we don't have funds. So there are times that you take very short-term contract. You can even take 9 months, and 9 months because of the funding that was available. And after the 9 months, maybe there's no fund. So nothing that you haven't done, you haven't even hoped. Actually, you are very sad if you're leaving. So you leave because there was no funding. Then you stay home for another 2 months, and you get another job in another NGO, maybe for another 6 months. So for me, I keep saying we should not actually have that of job hopping, unless if we are talking about people who can't keep jobs. People who cannot keep, they don't have a reason why they change jobs. So you're in this particular job, you would have stayed, but every 6 months, every 1 year, we are seeing you leaving jobs and you don't have very good reasons. And part of the risk high assessment, we are going to ask you, I can actually see you move from XYZ after a year. I can actually see you move after every 1 year. So when it is like that, then I give 3 years. At least give an employer 3 years, to break even. You contribute and also learn. Huh? So if you move at 6 months, we have not broken even. We have not even regarded the cost of hiring you.
Yes.
So but if as the HR people who are in attendance, before you brand someone a job hopper, get to hear their side. What exactly happened? Because like I said, those in NGO will understand that with funding, you can get actually very short-term contracts.
Yeah.
And it is not your wish.
Okay, so someone anonymously is asking, once a job is advertised, how long should one take before applying for it? Does it hurt your chances if you apply on the last day?
Again, that depends with the employer. So there are some in proper organizations, in international organizations and some other, even here locally, you cannot start shortlisting until the application closes. So it's okay, you can wait for the last minute, but just maybe wait for the last minute. You risk not applying for that job. I've seen it again. You wait until midnight, kumba it was closing 5 p.m. They meant 5 p.m. and you still think you have up to midnight. So you are fully qualified, but you're going to miss that particular role. Or the day that you want to apply, the system misbehaves. If you're applying online, you go in and then you realize they wanted me to attach a good conduct, I don't have. They wanted me to attach ABC, I don't have. So last minute, most of the times, okay, sometimes doesn't work for you. So I would discourage all of us with waiting for the last day, unless if you don't have an option, because you might risk losing a job that would have actually meant everything to you. So apply in advance. Again, for the recruiters like myself, we have to deliver on time and very fast to our clients. So if I advertise today, tomorrow I'll be shortlisting. I'll be giving you 2 weeks just in case I don't find someone. But the moment I advertise, by tomorrow, trust me, we'll be having a recruitment plan that we are shortlisting, and by Friday we are going to give you names for interview. So if it's from a recruiter, just know time they cannot wait for 2 weeks to deliver what they have been requested by an organization.
No.
The company will come to us as recruiters because they think you already have a database. Of course, we may not always have a database of everyone. So if a charter comes to me says, you know what, Jane, I'm looking for a software development specialist, and it's urgent. My advert will have 2 weeks, but trust you me, by Friday this week, we will be having interviews at a charter. So by the time you put your application, that recruitment has already closed. By the time you're calling to ask, I had applied ABCD, where is ABCD? I'll be telling you we finished that. I may not tell you, but we'll have finished. So if it's a recruiter, please be among the first to apply. But before you apply, don't just send an application blindly. Always ask yourself, I've told you how we do recruitments. Ask yourself, from that recruitment, am I going to actually be shortlisted? Because if you just again send blindly, it will just go to the black hole where we are saying, you know, we'll give you zeros, we'll give you 2, where you should have scored 4, and you're going to miss that particular shortlist.
Yeah. Okay. Moses Kihara is asking, if you get a job in company A, but as soon as you start company B that you had interviewed with previously, wants you to, gives you an offer, what do you do?
Now that's a personal decision, but for me, then at that particular moment, I would have to weigh very many things. I would have to make a decision, because at the end of the day, it's about you, it's not about the employers. So I'd have to weigh in terms of the pay that they're giving. I would have to weigh in terms of the role. Maybe the roles were different, like assuming maybe one of them is an accounts assistant, another is an accountant, and you can do the accountant, you know, then definitely I would just have to resign, unfortunately. So at the end of the day, you make decisions that actually favor you, not that favor other people. So there are times, and I have an example like that, a job I got 3 months into the job. I interviewed for 2 jobs, got a regret in one, and I was offered another one. Then 3 months down the line, the guys who gave me a regret called to ask if I was still available. And it was paying me double. There's no way I was going to say no, because I want to look nice to that particular employer, and unfortunately I had to go. So at that point, there are things that you have to think with the factors that individually at that particular point of the making the decision.
Yeah. So James Mwangi is asking, does being a member of a professional organization help, especially for senior jobs?
Some adverts will actually be requesting for it. Like even in HR, you'll be seeing almost all the adverts asking that you are a member of a professional body. Some of them is actually legal. If you're an engineer, you need to belong. If you are in HR, you need to belong. If you are in accounting, I hear for the accountant is not that important. So I don't know. I don't see it in your adverts. So it depends. You must understand your industry, know what ticks for that particular industry, and then try make sure that you actually fit in that particular industry. Even an industry that actually calls and insists on people being a member, please be a member by all means. If it does not insist, then you can choose to have it or not to have it. But being a member on its own does not add bonga points in any way. But if it's a requirement that employers are looking for, please.
Okay. Paris, I think this for a lot of people. Paris is asking, how do you address a career gap in your CV?
I keep saying this. The moment you have a career gap, for whatever reason, especially women who take career gap sometimes because of kids, because of ABCD and all that. If you take a career gap, do everything to remain in the space. Even if you're going to have just a small finger in the space, do everything to remain in the space. Do not have a gap for 1 year. And for that 1 year, if in accounting, you have never seen anything to do with accounting. So you come and I'm asking you, have you managed payables? And you're thinking, can you say that again? It will be the basics of the basics, but you won't have a clue. So whatever you do, if you take a break as a preventive measure, purpose to actually be in the space, start doing things as a volunteer, do bookkeeping for people. If you're in HR, volunteer, start your own consultant, whatever that you do, but just remain in the space. Right now, we are very happy because there are all these WhatsApp groups that you can actually join Telegrams and all that. We have all these webinars that are happening. So you have a chance to remain in the space and understand what is happening around. But if you take a gap and you sit home or keep saying that there are no jobs and ABCD, things will be very bad for you. If you go for an interview and they have shortlisted you, remember they like you already. When they were calling you, they saw that you had that gap. So that is now irrelevant. It's about you, how to come and say, I can understand the following skills, and my gap was because of this reason. I don't think people discriminate you because of a gap. People discriminate you and fail to take you for the gap when they realize, umegasha, you took the gap and trusted. So because you're looking for someone to come and do the job, I'm not looking for this person to come and I come train them. So if you can't do the job, again, I will not hire you. So you don't miss the job because you have a gap. You miss it because you come, I give you a laptop and I see you are typing with one finger. You're looking for where A is for 5 minutes before you can actually click on it. That becomes a problem. So if you take a gap, whatever happens, please remain in the space.
Okay. So I think we're going to take two final questions. And Sol is asking, and I think this is very important for people who are recruiting. Please make a comment on the impact of panelists on a quality of an interview. Advice on what can be done by the HRP in the establishment.
Ask that question again, on the quality of the interview.
No, on the the panelists and how they influence the quality of the interview.
That may be from a HR perspective. If you're the HR for that particular organization, then your panelists need to be trained on how to interview. There are things that they cannot ask people, how they ask questions, how they make candidates feel in an interview. So those are things, that's a key on how to do interviewing. So as a deliverable for the HR people, please train your senior manager that sit interviews on how to do the interview so that, because sometimes we even have people asking illegal questions. You know, someone is asking you, are you pregnant? Huh? Because they're looking at you and they're thinking you know, that's an illegal question already. And if you don't get a job, you'll go thinking it's because you're pregnant. So there are things that as a recruiter you have, as the HR person, please train your panelists. Let them know how to interview. They must know that this might be the only time that this particular candidate is actually interacting in the organization, and they need to have a good they need to go home saying, even if I don't pass this interview, I knew I've liked this particular company. I came, I was given water, I was welcome, the panel was friendly, you know.
Yes.
So those are basics that as HR people we must deliver for organizations.
Now, someone else is asking, and I think we're going to end the questions here. If the company they used to work for failed or collapsed, how do you handle the references then?
But the people did not collapse. The people in that organization are still there. The company collapsed, but the people are still there. The people are still in the world. So keep in touch with them. Let them be able to give reference for you.
Okay.
Because people want to get reference from people that you have worked with.
Yes.
And sometimes what happens, to just talk about that, we don't keep in touch with the people. So I was your line manager 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
All these 5 years, you never talked to me. You never kept in touch with me, actually, more than the other way around. So you don't keep in touch. In 5 years, you're not calling me, telling me that so and so talk to me a reference, you know, and it's feeling like that. Those classmates that invite you in your close forever, and be deliberate about that.
Yes. Thank you very much, Jane. We cannot even finish the questions today, and I've tried to ask as much as possible, and especially because most of them are close related. There's someone who was asking about a few things you had discussed earlier. Kindly, we will share this recording on our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is Atara Solutions, ATARAH Solutions, and you can find this recording there by around Thursday, Friday. So please go in, you will find most answers. We'll also share the presentation and Jane's contact. If you need to talk to her, please get in touch. She will answer the questions further and you can see how you can engage. Thank you very much for joining us. We shall definitely take this discussion further. And I think we can organize another session for question and answer. I think we promised that for all our questions, all our sessions. And thank you very much, Jane. You have really, really dissected this topic. I think if you're an employer seated somewhere, you know what to look for in your employees. If you're an employee, you know what your employers are looking for. We thank you, Zalego Academy, our IT partners, for the awesome job you're doing. Thank you, NG Support Services, our communications and brand management partner. You're doing an awesome job. Do not forget to tune in to Pearl Radio 96.9 FM in Nairobi. Again, 96.9 FM in Nairobi. Our audience, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to host you. My name is Grace Zula from Atara Solutions, and I have been your host. Please like our Facebook page, Atara Solutions. Follow us on Instagram, Atara Solutions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Atara Solutions. See you next week at the same time, same place, as we look at the legal obligations of an employer. I saw a question on someone asking, how do you manage absenteeism? So we are going to answer some of those questions next week and learn what the government or the legal requirements an employer is obligated to give. So thank you very much. From us, it's good night and always a pleasure to host you. Good night.